I have a whole year view, and from that whole year view, I can go straight down to the 5-minute overview. This doesn't act like most planners. This is supposed to act in a different way. You're supposed to be zooming in and out. It's more of a Deskpad than it is a planner. So for example, if I go and type in Deskpad into Amazon, we'll see what we get. We get loads of these desk things like this. Very nice. But if we scroll down, we'll get something like these. And this is the Deskpad that it's supposed to be competing with. It's supposed to be a huge planner that you put your ideas in and you can sort of move them around as and when you please. So this is a lovely one, but there isn't a digital version of this. And I think in a very large format, and I like to, in my mind, I kind of zoom in and out on stuff. And this is what I wanted. This is what I wanted to have in my digital planner. So this planner is actually the mid-year, but the full 2026 will work pretty much the same thing. It's the same sort of planner, just a few of the dates are changed, but pretty much everything else is pretty much the same. So I'm going to make the one video for both the mid-year, September to August. There is an August to July coming, but that will be out in a couple of months. Okay, there are 196 pages in this planner. It is not a daily, but it kind of is a daily. 197, I lied. I know most people customize the first page and the first page becomes your thumbnail. So when you see it in something like this in your files, it's easy to see which one you want. I just did a tessellated fish. No surprise why. And you probably copy and paste. There you go. That looks beautiful. And that's the first page. So the second page is your first week. Now, I know that most people are not comfortable with using something like this because what people like to do is they like to write something on this page so they can see it. They do not zoom in. That's not a standard way that people use this, but this is the way that I use this. If we take, for example, this first page, this is not only a weekly layout, it is a daily layout, but if we zoom in, we can see that we have marks here which tell us the times of that hour. So this is 6 in the morning. So that means, so it's going to be 6:05, 6:05. So this time from here to here is a 5-minute slot for you to write, for me to write, for us to write the things that we want to be putting in. So at the top of the day, you've got this little box. I use this little box for all my main stuff that I need to do that day. So all the main stuff that I need to do, mainly my targets, the things that I want to get achieved, and the things that I want to make sure I don't forget, I tend to write in here. And I also tend to write them in for upcoming days. So I'll write the things that I need to do, and then I'll time block it in the time of the day that I have it, if I have it. And of course, with the usual time blocking stuff, if I don't use it or I haven't been able to get it done, then I'll migrate it to somewhere else. And that's it for every single day. There is a slot for every single day that is broken up into 5-minute sections, and we can write in quite a lot of things here. And the beauty about this that I find I don't get with other forms of digital planning is that I can just sort of pick it up and move it around and move it to where I want it to be. So every single day is broken into these chunks, and they go from 6 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. Most people are sleeping then. I have had people request a 24-hour one, which I'm happy to do, but it's not something that seems to come back very often, and I really do prioritize my sleep, so I'm very rarely up or planning to do things between 11 and 5 o'clock in the morning. On the left of every single week layout, there is an event and a theme. Generally, I tend to write a theme at the top and then put an arrow across. So I'll do something like, say, for example, move that up. And then I will go to my highlighter and I will put a highlighter from this across the entire week. When I write this, I tend to write a bit bigger so that I can see it when I fully zoom out. I don't need to see these when I'm fully zoomed out. I don't need to see what I've done every 5 minutes. That's too much of a micro mindset. And although it's useful, I don't need to have it at all times. Now, I also use a mind dump quite a lot. And again, you see the same theme of breaking it up into sections. I tend to put everything down here. If it's in my mind, it goes down here. I hate having to remember things. I like to write everything down here because to me, your mind is for having thoughts and not remembering thoughts. The more things I can commit to paper or get written down, the less I have to store in my head. Underneath that is the Eisenhower matrix. So what I'll do is I'll write things down here and then copy it and drag it down into the Eisenhower matrix, and then we're good to go. And the things that I'm waiting on, so I can put them on here and they're not clogging up my to-do list, my mind dump, or my Eisenhower matrix. That's about it for the weekly plan. You'll notice at the side there are loads of weeks with, you'll notice that these numbers, that's the week number. The full year planner doesn't have these, not in that format. The full week planner's got the full 1, 2, 3, 4 for week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. And we'll also notice there's months down the sides, more than months in a minute. If we click on this, it'll take us to this page. If we click on the next one, it'll take us to week 1 of the mid-year planner, but also week 36 in terms of full year planner. And we have the same for all these weeks. Now, every single week, there are no pages without the full year planner. There are 53 weeks because the 52 weeks of the year is spread out amongst 53 weeks because we don't start our year. This one actually starts here. But if we look at the full one, it starts on a Thursday and it goes to a Thursday. So that's the weeklies done. Well, notice on the side there's a tab, and the tab will take us to the month view. The month view is very similar. It's got the side part here, which we've already explained. We've got the days set out. It's just a normal standard planner, and we've got it set out vertically and horizontally. Horizontal is useful for tracking for that particular month. And if we zoom in, we can see the boxes are broken down. There's a 3 by 3 grid for every box. So we can write in the things we need. We can code in if we need for these. I've done it once or twice, but to be honest, I don't really use it that much. I tend to be everything in a week planner. I do use it sometimes, things like holiday planning, but for my day-to-day life, I need a more micro level of planning, and the month view just doesn't work for me. On the bottom, there's a link bar. This link bar takes you to several other pages, which I use all the time. Year View 1. This is my favorite, and this is how I see the year. We can see that we start on Monday, but this month, the September starts on the Monday. So for example, October starts on the 1st, which is a Wednesday, and if we zoom out, we can see that's nicely lined up. I personally prefer this. I like to see all my Saturdays and Sundays in a row. It just makes sense to me, and it's the way that I sort of visualize my month. At the side, there is a hyperlink. Each of these hyperlinks to that page. So you got a hyperlink at the bottom left, which is the Year View 1. Mentioned Year View 1 here, Year View 1 there. And all of these at the side are hyperlinked to that particular week. At the bottom, there's stuff for whole year overview stuff, so themes or important things for that year. I tend to make snippets of and put it over here, so I've got it at hand for the whole year. On the Year View 2, it's the exact same thing, except instead of having it done by Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, it's now done by the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, and so on and so on. So Monday the 1st of September, which if you look back over here, Monday the 1st of September. Also at the top, these are linked to the month view. So November links the month. Now, of course, you're not going to be able to see the individual writing on each of the days when you zoom out, but that's all right because it's not supposed to be viewed from the wider view. It's supposed to be zoomed in so you can see what you're putting in those individual days. And again, here, you're supposed to be zooming in, writing down what you want. And just like the previous view, the space at the bottom for writing your whole year overviews. And once again, these are hyperlinked to that particular week. So you can go from the macro to the micro in just a few swipes, just a few pinches or just a few clicks. I have a whole year view, and from that whole year view, I can go straight down to the 5-minute overview. Right, as we can see, there are 3 year views, and if we click on the 3rd year view, it's more of what you find in a calendar with each of the days all split down. It's exactly what you'd find elsewhere, exactly what you expect. Of course, if you press this, you get a hyperlink to that month, and if you press this, you get a hyperlink to that particular date, even though in those, the dates are still hyperlinked at the side. Moving on, this is a change for this year. I found with my previous ones, I couldn't track particularly well, and I think I have a mindset where I track per week, and it just didn't quite work out that way. So this one is tracked per week, and it's got the full year. I couldn't quite figure out whether I liked it this way, because although I want to be able to see what date it's in, what I want is when I'm zooming out, I want to be able to see the pattern of it. And if it's got loads of days in it, is that going to get in the way of my viewing the whole year? Whereas if I did it in a small box in the corner, then when I zoom out, hopefully I want to have it cluttering up my screen so I can see clearly if there are any patterns to the things that I'm trying to track. So I thought I would try it this way and possibly this way. And I just repeated those. So you've got the same thing repeated 3 times. So this is the same as this, and it's the same as this. I'm interested to see how I get on with these. I think I'm really going to like it. But I was also thinking, if I do it like this, would I also not be better trying it as the vertical view? And it's very similar to this, but except a few differences. This is just too cluttered to be able to see of a whole year view. So I kind of faded it in, faded these a bit, but then I also wondered whether that would be easier or that. I am not sure. I would very much appreciate feedback from anyone else. In fact, this here is the same as this here. So they are just repeated. Now, these are not hyperlinked. These definitely not hyperlinked. These don't hyperlink. It's just there to guide. My gut instinct is that I like this view the best, and I'm probably going to stick with that. But I also want to give something like this a go because I think that having that clear there may also be quite nice. But I don't know, 4 of these, that look pretty good. So that's a year view 1, 2, 3. Horizontal trackers going across and the vertical trackers going up and down. Then we have notes. The notes has been a standard since the very start of these. These are absolutely brilliant. I use the notes pages all the time. As we zoom in, we can see we've got these lines here and we've got the boxes. Now the boxes are coding. The main line is for kind of a subheading of what it is. And this one here is space to write a main tag. So I would usually write something like if I had a meeting, I would do main text there, and then I'd zoom in and have a smaller one. And then maybe I could have a coding system here, like if that one isn't active, I will put an active. If that one has been finished, maybe I could code that with a finished. And we have 108 of these. When you click on them, it takes you to that page. This is note page 108, and you've got a full blank page, which is dotted because I personally prefer the dotted layout. If people would prefer something other than a dotted layout, then it's up to you to join the group and request it. A lot of the things that have worked for me here have come from ideas that have been generated by the forum and by the groups that I'm in and by the groups that I run, and I really appreciate the feedback. So that is year view, 1, 2, 3, horizontal trackers, vertical trackers, notes, the passwords. I know you're not supposed to write down, you're supposed to use a password manager or something like, but I tend to like to write passwords here. My passwords often change every single year. I'm more than happy to write them down here. I did worry about Google Notes 6 and its AI, whether it could read that. That could be a data issue, but I stick with goodnotes 5, and yeah, I've not had an issue so far. The next one is the projects. I do like the projects as a general overview, so I can kind of see what I've got going and what I would like to move on with. So I can kind of see what I've got going and where I would like to be going with my projects. This is just a general overview to see how things are going. The gratitude is laid out in much the same way as Year View 3. I would like to spend more time in here to actually log everything. Is something that I just don't find I have the time for. And the rest are just the quick links. So something ongoing and quickly. You don't want to have the extra step of having to go through your notes. You can just use a quick link. The quick links are linked on every single page. You have 12 quick links and they are QL up at the top, so you know where you are at all times. And that's pretty much it. All 197 pages. The majority of this booklet is the 108 pages of the notes, and the rest of it is the rest of the digital planning. Again, feedback will be very welcome. This is free for the upcoming September to August and the August to June, which will be coming very soon. It's also going to be free for the upcoming year. So, for example, 2026 will be available on the website in about a month's time, if not earlier. But then the 2027 one I will be charging, and it'll be so on and so on for that. If there are any comments or feedback, please do let me know.